over to the introductions by Viśvakarmā Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much, Ram Raghava, for coordinating the class today globally for the Prabhupada Disciples Association. This is a class that is being conducted by our association for people that are interested in following Srila Prabhupada as Diksha and Siksha Guru for people, for themselves and for people moving forward into the future generations. Srila Prabhupada is one of the most empowered representatives of Lord Krishna to ever enter the earthly plane for the benefit of other conditioned souls who are struggling in the world of names. This is a very troublesome life, and we all feel the same without the presence of Srila Prabhupada's instructions and the presence of his divine grace. We would certainly be lost in the ocean of misery. So the Prabhupada Disciples Association focuses on Prabhupada's legacy in his unadulterated books. His books, Prabhupada told us that he will live on even after his physical departure from this world. He would live on in his transcendental literatures. And these transcendental literatures are infused with the eternal message of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Lord Krishna. And these messages that he has delivered to us, especially in his purports, constitute the highest knowledge of spiritual life for the conditioned soul. Those devotees that are members of this association, I know all of them appreciate these points, and we not only practice them ourselves, but we want to share them with others moving forward, and expand our opportunity to preach Krishna consciousness online to as many people as possible. This is a new format for, not a new format in the sense that it's brand new, but it is, relatively speaking, in the scope of eternal time, and a new format for devotees like ourselves to be able to literally broadcast the message of Lord Chaitanya and Srila Prabhupada to every cell phone and computer in the world. And that is a great opportunity for us, because like Lord Chaitanya would recommend that we go door to door, so and present the message of Lord Chaitanya to others. So in another way, we're going phone to phone, computer to computer. So it's really a wonderful dovetailing of our mission to deliver the message of Srila Prabhupada and of Lord Chaitanya in an unadulterated fashion. And we all know that nowadays there are so many bogus groups that are preaching Krishna consciousness and changing the message or mission of our Guru, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. His Divine Grace had instructed us to don't change his books. And as I've been reading in the last few weeks, he also said, just read my books and memorize them and repeat what I say. And in this way, the message of Krishna consciousness will remain intact and unchanged. So it's a great opportunity for us. And today we're reading from the Bhagavad-gītā As It Is. And our speaker is Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu. So we're going to request him to begin the class. And once again, I want to thank everybody for attending. This is a volunteer program. We're volunteering our time. That's a very important thing to understand. No one is being paid. No one's interested in any kind of recognition for the service they're rendering. They're doing it selflessly in an effort to please our Guru, Srila Prabhupada, His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami. So Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu, maybe we could, do we begin with the Jaya Radha Madhava?
Jaya Radha Madhava Punya Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Punya Bihari Yaśodā-nandana Brajana Ranjana Yaśodā-nandana Brajana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Banachari Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopidana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yaśodā-nandana Brajana Ranjana Yaśodā-nandana Brajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Banachari Yamuna Tira Banachari Jaya Radha Madhava Punya Bihari
Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Svapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahaguna Raghunatan Anvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahaguna Lalita Shri Viśvakanvitam Shcham E Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpati Gopesh Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gourangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Suti Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namah Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrindam Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So we will be reading today from Bhagavad-gītā As It Is, original 1972, non-adulterated, unedited version. All translations, purports, and synonyms by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupāda, Founder-Ācārya of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, also known as the Krishna Consciousness Movement. Today we'll be reading from chapter 7, text number 4, page number 367. Bhumirapo nalo vayu kammano buddhirevacham ahamkarayiti yamme binna prakritirashtada. Bhumihi, earth, apaha, water, analaha, fire, vayuhu, air, kam, ether, manaha, mind, buddhihi, intelligence, eva, certainly, cha, and, ahamkaraha, false ego, iti, thus, iyam, all these, me, my, binna, separated, prakritihi, energies, ashtada, total 8. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. Earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, and false ego. Altogether, these 8 comprise my separated material energies. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. The science of God analyzes the constitutional position of God and his diverse energies. Material nature is called Prakriti, or the energy of the Lord. in his different Purusha incarnations, expansions, as described in the Satvata Tantra. Vishnustu trini rupani purushakyanyatu viduhu ekantu mahataha srastrir vitiyam tvanda samstitam trityam sarvabhutastam tani gyatva vimuchyati. From material creation, Lord Krishna's plenary expansion assumes three Vishnus. The first one, Mahavishnu, creates the total material energy known as Mahatattva. The second, Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, enters into all the universes to create diversities in each of them. The third, Kshirodakshaya Vishnu, is diffused as the all-pervading supersoul in all the universes and is known as Paramatma, who is present even within the atoms. Anyone who knows these three Vishnus can be liberated from material entanglement. This material world is a temporary manifestation of one of the energies of the Lord. All the activities of the material world are directed by these three Vishnu expansions of Lord Krishna. These Purushas are called incarnations. Generally, one who does not know the science of God, Krishna, assumes that this material world is for the enjoyment of the living entities, and that the living entities are the causes, Purushas, controllers and enjoyers of the material energy. According to Bhagavad-gītā, this atheistic conclusion is false. In the verse under discussion, it is stated that Krishna is the original cause of the material manifestation. Srimad Bhagavatam also confirms this. The ingredients of the material manifestation are separated energies of the Lord. Even the Brahma Jyoti, which is the ultimate goal of the impersonalist, is a spiritual energy manifested in the spiritual sky. There are no spiritual diversities in Brahma Jyoti as there are in the Vaikuntha Lokas. And the impersonalist accepts this Brahma Jyoti as the ultimate eternal goal. The Paramatma manifestation is also a temporary all-pervasive aspect of the Kshirodakshaya Vishnu. The Paramatma manifestation is not eternal in the spiritual world. Therefore, the factual absolute truth is the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna. He is the complete energetic person, and he possesses different separated and internal energies. In the material energy, the principal manifestations are 8, as above mentioned. Out of these, the first 5 manifestations, namely earth, water, fire, air, and sky, are called the 5 gigantic creations, or the gross creations, within which the 5 sense objects are included. They are the manifestations of physical sound, touch, form, taste, and smell. Material science comprises these 10 items and nothing more. But the other 3 items, namely mind, intelligence, and false ego, are neglected by the materialist. Philosophers who deal with mental activities are also not perfect in knowledge because they do not know the ultimate source, Krishna. The false ego, I am and it is mine, which constitute the basic principle of material existence, includes 10 sense organs for material activities. Intelligence refers to the total material creation called the Mahatattva. Therefore, from the 8 separated energies of the Lord are manifest the 24 elements of the material world, which are the subject matter of Sankhya, atheistic philosophy. They are originally offshoots from Krishna's energies and are separated from him. But atheistic Samkhya philosophers with a poor fund of knowledge do not know Krishna as the cause of all causes. The subject matter for discussion in the Sankhya philosophy is only the manifestation of the external energy of Krishna, as it is described in the Bhagavad-gītā. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Dishatarine Bhakti Siddhanta Shishyaya Bhaktivedanta Namine Prasannaya Prashantaya Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Bhagavad Vandanam Khadyam Guru Vandana Purvakam Kshiram Sharkara Yuktam Kadatihi Visheshataham Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrindam Shri Rup Sanatana Bhatta Raghunatha Sri Jiva Gopala Bhatta Dasa Raghunatha Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. I offer my respectful obeisances unto my spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada, who has opened my eyes from the darkness of ignorance with the torchlight of transcendental knowledge. This particular verse has been quoted by Srila Prabhupada many, many times. We see in many lectures, many conversations, and various other communications, Srila Prabhupada was explaining so many times the meaning of these various elements. Now the question may be raised, why did Prabhupada spend so much time analyzing this? Well, the reason is because this is a science. Krishna consciousness is a science of understanding Atma Tattva, the science of the soul. In order to understand the position of the soul, the spirit soul, one also has to understand the nature of the material body. The material body is temporary. We know that. So what we have here is Krishna is analyzing his material energies. Binna Prakritirashtada. Prabhupada gives a very, very detailed explanation here of the different Purusha incarnations. You will not find this detailed information in any other religious scripture or philosophical scriptures of the world. This is the most detailed information you can find. It's one thing to say, well, God created everything. Everything comes from God. That is nice. But how did it happen? How is this creation made? Krishna Prabhupada explains here. For material creation, Lord Krishna's plenary expansion assumes three Vishnus. The first one, Mahavishnu, creates the total material energy known as Mahatattva. The Mahavishnu is also called Karana Udaka Vishnu. Karana Udaka Shayi Vishnu. The second, Garbhodakshayi Vishnu, enters into all the universes to create diversities in each of them. The third, Kshirodakshayi Vishnu, is diffused as the all-pervading super soul in all the universes and is known as Paramatma, who is present even within the atoms. Anyone who knows these three Vishnus can be liberated from material entanglement. Now, Srila Prabhupada in various purports in the Srimad Bhagavatam goes into further detail of how this material world is created, how it is maintained, and how it actually works. We see in the Christian scriptures, in the beginning, there was the word. We see in the Srimad Bhagavatam, in the beginning, there was the word Om. And then Lord Brahma, the demigod in charge of creating the universe on behalf of Krishna, he basically was empowered by Krishna to manifest all of these different living entities according to their previous karma. So Garbhodakshayi Vishnu, the plenary expansion of Krishna, does this function of entering in all the universes. Then we have the Kshirodakshayi Vishnu, which is equivalent to what I believe the Christians call the Holy Ghost, or the Paramatma, or the inner soul within every living entity. But he is also present within every atom. Within every atom, there is the presence. It's described in the Brahma Samhita. Andantarasta paramanu chayantarastam. Paramanu refers to each atom. Within each atom, there is the presence of this Kshirodakshayi Vishnu. So this is important because Prabhupada says, generally the one who does not know the science of God, Krishna, assumes that this material world is for the enjoyment of the living entities, and that the living entities are the causes, controllers, and enjoyers of the material energy. According to Bhagavad-gītā, this atheistic conclusion is false. In Kali Yuga, this tendency toward this atheistic rebellion is very strong. There's propaganda by various leaders, so-called religionists, so-called swamis, materialistic scientists, philosophers, declaring God is dead because they cannot see. So how this cosmic manifestation, how this universe came about? If you ask any of these individuals how they got their degrees, did it happen by chance? Did they get their PhD, their master's degrees, and their graduate degrees just by chance? No. They had to go to school, they had to study, they had to graduate, they had to write theses and everything else. Did they when they go to work in the morning, assuming that they have some means of conveyance, either car or taking a bus or a bike, did that bike or car happen by chance? How was that car made? By chance? No. There's no such thing as chance. There is always a cause. And in Krishna consciousness, when we go, the first point is Sarva Karana Karanam. God is the ultimate cause of all causes. Intelligent person will understand this point. This is a reasonable argument that any intelligent, reasonable person can understand. But those of atheistic, rebellious mentality will insist, oh, there is no God. Or if there is suffering, that must be God's fault. Oh, really? How is that? They do not understand that the suffering is due to the misuse of our independence, misuse of our choice. We have the choice to obey God or to disobey God, just like in the government. The citizens have the choice to obey the laws of the government or to disobey the laws of the government, to follow the laws of the government or become rebellious. Now, there are consequences. If one disobeys the laws of the government to a certain extent, he'll be arrested. He'll be convicted, put in jail. Now, somebody, or the government is very cruel. They made a jailhouse. They made a prison house. No. They do that because they know there will always be a class of men that will rebel against the authority of the government. Similarly, in the material world, there will always be a class of men that will rebel against the authority of Lord Vishnu, of God. That is an eternal fact. Just like it is a fact, there always will be a class of prisoners. In whatever country, wherever it is, there is always a class of criminal elements. This is described in the Vishnu Purana, also in the Bhagavad-gītā. Dvabhuta sarvalokesmin deva asura evacha. Since the beginning of creation, there have always been two classes of living beings. The devotees, the pious people who accept the authority of God, and those who do not, the demons, the non-devotees. Vishnu Bhakta Smritu Deva, Asurasta Viparyaya. Those who render favorable service to Lord Vishnu, to God, they are the devotees. And then there are asuras, those who are asuras, Viparyaya, this is the opposite, always challenging the authority of God. They're very busy trying to disprove God. So how this creation came about, how this whole manifestation comes about. If one looks at governmental activities, governmental supervision, or even a company, take, for example, a big company. Does everything happen by chance? Do people get their salary by chance? Do they produce goods or cars or airplanes or products and it just happens, it just falls from the sky? No, there's intelligence behind it. There's planning, there's activity. Parasya Shaktir Vivideva Shriyate Jnana Balakriya Evacha. In the Shvetashvatara Upanishad described that God, the Supreme Lord Vishnu, has so many different energies: creation, maintenance, jnana balakriya evacha. Just like as a human being, we have so many activities. God has the activities. He creates, maintains, and ultimately also winds the material world down. Everything is explained nicely, systematically in Bhagavad-gītā. Simply want us to hear. Prabhupada refers here to various material elements. According to Sankhya philosophy, there are 24 material elements. Now, Sankhya philosophy, there's two kinds. There's the Sankhya philosophy of Lord Kapila in the 3rd canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. That is the theistic, God-centered philosophy. There is another Kapila, which is the atheist Kapila, that tries to prove that the interaction of these different elements is simply by nature and there's no person behind it. That we do not accept. That is unacceptable. Prabhupada gave a lecture in London, England on July 20th, 1973 on this same verse of Bhagavad-gītā. Prabhupada explains, so scientific improvement is coming, but still on the material platform. Material means gross material and subtle material. That is explained in the Bhagavad-gītā. Bhumirapo nano vayuhu kammano buddhire vacha aham karayiti yamme binna prakritirastada. Earth, water, fire, air, sky, these 5 elements are gross material. Everyone can see gross. We can see earth, we can see water, we can see fire, air, or we can perceive the sky also. But there is subtle matter also: mind, intelligence, ego. We cannot see the mind. We cannot see intelligence. I understand that you have got intelligence, or everyone knows we've got mind, but we cannot see. This is subtle. They are also matter, subtle matter. So the television is a machine made of gross matter, but there is possibility of making another machine of subtle matter. There is possibility, because matter, they're also matter. That subtle matter machine is not yet discovered, but here we can see the subtle matter discovery was there. Otherwise, how Sanjaya could see the activities in a battlefield? This is to be understood. They are very much proud of material advancement, of science, but still they have to make advancement, subtle matter. And above that subtle matter, within that subtle matter, there is spiritual identity. Indriyani paranyahur, indriyebhya param manaha, manasastu parabuddhi, Bhagavad-gītā 3:42. First of all, we can see a person. A person we see. What do we see? The senses. But we cannot see the director of the senses. The director of the senses is the mind. And the director of the mind is intelligence. And the owner of the intelligence is the soul. This is understanding. The soul is there. Whose intelligence? As soon as we say, we shall say intelligence, whose intelligence? That is the soul's intelligence. Where from the intelligence is coming? From Paramatma, Rishikesha. Therefore, this word is used here, Rishikesha. The intelligence will come from Paramatma. Otherwise, we cannot act just like a child has got intelligence, but it is guided by the parent's intelligence. My dear son, do like this. And he does it. Similarly, we have got this mind, intelligence, everything, but that is being guided by the super intelligence, Krishna. Therefore, he is called Rishikesha. Once we have explained Rishikesha, so we have to reach that platform where we can talk with Rishikesha. That is spiritual platform. That is possible. The more you become purified, you can talk with Rishikesha, who is within yourself. He's not outside. Although he's in Goloka Vrindavana, Krishna is always in Vrindavana, in the spiritual world. But because he is Krishna, he can remain with you also at the same time, simultaneously. This is Krishna. Goloka eva nivasatya kilatma bhutaha. Brahma Samhita 537. Goloka namni nijadamni talecha tasya. Devi Mahesha Haridhama Shute Shuteshu Tete Prabhava Nichaya Vihitaschayena Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. It is proposed our Mayapur temple will be on this plan. Goloka Namni Nijadamni Talechatasya. The highest planetary system, spiritual, that is spiritual planet, that is named Goloka Namni, Goloka Vrindavana. We have given that picture in the Bhagavata cover, perhaps you know. The topmost original planet is the Goloka, Goloka Namni Nijadamni. So in this way, Prabhupada gives all these details explanation. Interestingly, in 1972 in Vrindavan, Srila Prabhupada was talking with Dr. O.B.L. Kapoor. Dr. O.B.L. Kapoor was a well-known disciple of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, who have obtained a philosophy in Gaudiya Vaishnava, a PhD in Gaudiya Vaishnava philosophy. So they were discussing the creation of the material world and this point about the three Vishnus. So Srila Prabhupada at one point interrupted the conversation and he asked, can any one of these devotees here explain what is this three Vishnus? And one devotee, Subal Maharaj, went into a detailed explanation based on that verse, Vishnu Trirupani, on page 367 in the first paragraph. And he gave that nice explanation, and Prabhupada was very happy. And he told Dr. Kapoor, just see how the Westerners have learned so much of Krishna philosophy. So this is an important point. One has to understand how this creation is made, how it is maintained, the position of the living entities, the position of the material energy, both the gross material energy, the subtle material energy, the position of the mind, the intelligence, the soul. This is a very important point. So at this point, I'll cut short my talking here and we'll bring it open for discussion or comments anybody wants to make. Hare Krishna. Anybody has any comments or remarks or questions? If nobody has any comments, we can keep going to the next verse. It's also related to the same point. Ram Raghava, you seem to be question, remarks, comments, chastisements, admonishments.
No, Prabhu, just wanted to briefly make an announcement to thank Bhaktivedanta for making the live stream possible. It is being monitored, and if we see any questions that people want to ask on the live stream, we'll present them to you.
Okay, Prabhu, Goramani Prabhu, go ahead. Speak clear, loud and clear.
My respectful obeisances to everyone. Now, in the comment, it is said that the Paramatma is not eternal in the spiritual world. So, my question is, when an impersonalist or in the even in Negoloka, Vrindavan, or some Vaikuntha planets, the Lord is not anymore in the heart of the soul, is not anymore there.
So what is the question?
And the question is it the Lord accompanying the soul when the soul reaches the spiritual world in any manifestation of the spiritual world? I mean, in the Brahma Jyoti or in Vaikuntha planets or Goloka Vrindavan. I mean, the Lord is accompanying or only in the material manifestation? Because I heard someone say that the Lord is with you like in the core of the soul as Paramatma, even when you are in the spiritual sky. But here in the comment, Prabhupada said that the Paramatma is not eternal.
Yes, Prabhupada says here, the Paramatma manifestation is also a temporary, all-pervasive aspect of the Kshirodakshaya Vishnu. The Paramatma manifestation is not eternal in the spiritual world, because in the spiritual world, there's Krishna and all the different Vishnu forms in Vaikuntha.
Exactly.
Here,
So
these various expansions, Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, Kshirodakshaya Vishnu, and Karanodakshaya Vishnu, this is for the material world, for the creation, for the maintenance, everything. In the spiritual world, there's just Krishna and Narayana in these various forms.
Because as I told you, I heard someone saying that the Lord is in the core of the soul, even when we are in a spiritual sky, you know. But here Prabhupada said that no, only in the material manifestation, the Paramatma is beside us.
Well, the Paramatma is just in the material world. In the spiritual world, it's just Krishna. Everything is Satchidananda.
Yes.
Eternity, knowledge, and bliss. There's no material suffering or material time factor or material problems there. That's what the kingdom of God is. It's a place where there's no more suffering. Vaikuntha, or the kingdom of God, means Kunta means anxiety. Vaikuntha means a place where there's no anxiety, no suffering. There's no more Paramatma to watch what you're doing. You're permanently with Krishna, in your relationship with Krishna, with God. I don't know where you heard these things. I don't know where Prabhupada ever mentioned that.
No, from Prabhupada, from devotee. I heard this from devotee. But
okay.
now another question arises in my mind. Like Prabhupada explained that when someone realized the first level of God realization or impersonalist, that he want to merge in the Brahma Jyoti. No, it's not a good position because the desire can bring you down again, take birth again. But I mean, if in the Brahma Jyoti there's no the Paramatma, how can the Lord knows that we have desire?
Because he knows everything. You'll see
Yes.
later on in Bhagavad-gītā, at the end of the 7th chapter, it describes that Krishna knows everything. He knows everything past, present, and future at all times. This is the power of Krishna.
Yes, but
As the Antaryami Paramatma, where we are in this material world, but even in Goloka Vrindavan and in the Brahma Jyoti, Krishna knows the actual situation, the actual desire of all living entities.
yes, even if he's not there as Paramatma, he can know.
He knows that. If you look at chapter 7, text number 26, Krishna explains, O Arjuna, as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, I know everything that has happened in the past, all that is happening in the present, and all things that are yet to come. I also know all living entities, but me, no one knows. So this is the special position of Krishna. He knows everything past, present, and future. That is the difference between the fallible living entities like us and God. I think in English, in Christian terminology, they call it omniscient. Yas sarvanya sarvavid. The Supreme Personality of God and knows everything in all times. He
Yes,
knows everything in the past. He knows everything that is happening in the present with all living entities, and he knows the future also.
yes, of course.
Because
But
the situation in the Brahma Jyoti, it's not a permanent situation like in Vaikuntha, in the kingdom of God. The situation in the Vaikuntha, when somebody is perfectly liberated and goes there, this is an active situation. It's not some white light. There's activity in Vaikuntha of service. In Goloka Vrindavan, there's that relationship with Krishna. There's always that permanent service, that transcendental bliss. But in Brahma Jyoti, this is an impersonal situation, which is not permanent. That's why it says in the Bhagavatam that one has to fall again, patanti adha, that one has to fall again to the material world.
yes, Prabhu,
It is not
but
a permanent situation.
can you explain to me how the Lord is present in the Brahma Jyoti? How the Lord is present in the Brahma Jyoti if he is not there as Paramatma? How
But
is
Krishna is there.
there?
Krishna is everywhere, both in the material world and the spiritual world. The Brahma Jyoti is in between. He
Yes,
knows
but,
everything at all times. He's always there. Even
Because
if he's not there in his feature as Paramatma, Krishna is everywhere. That's one of the fundamental understanding of the position of Krishna, the position of God. Any other questions or remarks?
I have a request.
Mm-hmm.
In the purport, Srila Prabhupada says that, let me see, generally one who does not know the science of God, Krishna, assumes that this material world is for the enjoyment of the living entities, and that the living entities are the causes, controllers, and enjoyers of the material energy. Could you please elaborate on that, specifically in regard to some religionists who say that God made this world for our enjoyment?
Well, again, this is related to the the two kinds of living entities in the material world. Dvabhuta sarge lokesmin. Lokesmin means in this world. In this material world, there always been and will always be two kinds of persons. One is the sura, or those who are devotees of God, inclined towards accepting God. And those who are asura, those who are atheistic, who reject the authority of God. So this point is an important point, because ultimately, if one wants to understand why there is suffering in this world, one has to accept that there is a higher power. The other day, somebody sent me a video of a Muslim mullah having a discussion with an atheist. And it was very interesting, although it is not technically in our tradition. It was a very good answer from the mullah explaining that there's the authority of God. Because it's not simply enough to say, well, there is no God. Well, did the atheist create the world? This manifestation, this world, was it created by somebody who has doubts, somebody who does not accept, somebody who refuses to recognize the authority of God? How did it come about? I mean, even from just a basic fundamental logic, everything we see as a cause, that this modern theory that everything happened by chance is foolish. Did the people who argue this, did they come in this world by chance? Did their car come about by chance? Did their education come about by chance? No, this is the rebellion attitude of the asuras, of the non-devotee mentality. And this is a problem because in Kali Yuga, the current age, this mentality is very prevalent and increasing more and more with constant atheistic propaganda in the name of so-called science and so-called education. Yeah, people are educated, they become more and more atheistic, more and more rebellious and not accepting the authority of God, the authority of Krishna. I don't know if that adequately answers your question, but.
Yes, thank you. And there are two people with their hands raised, Shyamasundar Prabhu and Madhukanta Prabhu.
Shyamasundar Prabhu, go ahead.
Hare Krishna, thank you very much, Prabhuji. I just wanted to ask you about the intelligence that is given to the soul. Prabhupada explains how Paramatma is giving the intelligence to the soul. And we see that so many different entities in this world have got different understandings about philosophy and the different aspects of life. And amongst devotees, we see so many different varied understandings of the philosophy. So I was just wondering if you could speak a little bit about the intelligence coming from Paramatma to the different souls. Is it just regarding their sincerity, that according to their sincerity, Krishna gives specific intelligence? How is it possible that so many devotees, just speaking about devotees, see things with so much variegatedness and can argue and disagree? And just curious about that. Thank you.
Well, I think we were reading earlier how in the Bhagavad-gītā chapter 3, Krishna explains Indriyani paranyahur indriyabhya paramana manasastu para buddhe yo buddhe paratastu sa, that the soul is above the mind and above the intelligence, and the mind and intelligence are above the gross material senses. Now, in the Upanishads, for example, in the Shveta Upanishad, it is described that the individual soul is there within the heart, and the super soul is also there, like two birds. One bird is trying to enjoy the fruits of the tree. Another bird is just watching as a well-wisher. You know, it's the intelligence that we have, every human being especially, has that intelligence. But in order to get developed intelligence or refined intelligence, by which we can understand what is God, what is this material world, why are we suffering, why are there so many varieties of living entities, what happens after that, what is this creation? These are intelligent questions. These are very relevant questions for intelligent persons. Now, there are also different degrees of intelligence. Just like Srila Prabhupada in the early 1970s sent a letter to one of his senior disciples, and he said, all Vaishnavas are authorities, but there are different degrees of authorities. In Sanskrit, this is called taratamya, different degrees. So the degree of intelligence of a person is also due to the past life. What is the person? Purva karma. People often talk about karma. Well, the current situation we have in this life is the result of activities that took place in a previous life. And the activities in this life will determine the future, bhavishya. Bhavishya means future. The bhavishya karma, the future karma of the next life. Whether one will be liberated, whether one be conditioned, whether one will go back to the kingdom of God, to Vaikuntha or Goloka Vrindavan, or one has to stay here or be degraded. Prabhupada often mentions that people who are too addicted to sex life, they may take their birth as pigeons or monkeys. Anybody who's been in India knows that monkeys have no restriction with sex life. Pigeons will have sex 20, 40, 50 times a day. So if one behaves like a monkey or behaves like a pigeon, by nature's arrangement, he will also get that facility. And if one behaves in a saintly, godly way and becomes purified, follows transcendental activities, then one will become purified and get the result. Yes, Viśvakarmā Prabhu, please go ahead.
Thank you very much. I found that question quite profound from the Prabhu in regards to intelligence, why there are so many different opinions on spiritual matters, especially in the ISKCON movement. There are all kinds of points of view, especially these days, coming out on a variety of matters, which to us appear to be deviant, not based on Prabhupada's teachings, but based on mental speculation or mental concoction. And then yet people, many thousands of people seem to follow these people. So I found that I have the same wonderment about that. How is it that this is going on? And in a simple terms, it's not everybody, as Krishna says here in the earlier verse, out of many thousands of men, one may endeavor for perfection. Of those who've achieved perfection, hardly one knows me in truth. So the question of truth, what is the truth? It really comes from Srila Prabhupada and the relationship that the individual has with him. In the society that we were former members of, they've made a bridge between Prabhupada and the followers through this guru system that they adopted, the ecclesiastical voting of the guru into a position as the representative of Srila Prabhupada. And that leaves the door open for a lot of interpretation by the individual gurus and giving their opinions and giving their idea of what they think spiritual life is. So largely it's because of misunderstanding of the philosophy that Prabhupada has taught us, that only to those people that have implicit faith in Krishna and the spiritual master, all the purports of the revealed scriptures are come to that devotee. It's a very, very specific science that we're dealing with here, which is the science of the relationship between the disciple and the guru. Now, why do some people misunderstand it? Well, for personal motive. They have personal motive. For profit, adoration, or distinction. They become elevated, so-called in their minds, to the platform that they think that they're the new Acharya or new empowered incarnation of A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. And then they hide behind the cloak of Srila Prabhupada's teachings. And then they present these teachings according to their mental speculation. And we see it going on every day. And people in general are innocent. They're looking for God consciousness. And for example, in the European countries, like there was a period of time where Krishna consciousness was expanding very rapidly in Russia. Far more people taking up Krishna consciousness there than, say, in Canada here, where I am, where it's very, very difficult for people here to, maybe it's because of the meat-eating tendency of the people here, very difficult for them to give up their sinful activities and take up the process of Krishna consciousness. But in Russia, it used to be quite prolific, unfortunately, due to the misbehavior of many people, namely one significant person who accepted the role of a guru, Hare Das, his name, I think that was it. He discouraged thousands of people from taking up or staying in the Krishna consciousness philosophy because of his deviant behavior and accepting the role as a guru. So here we have a situation where it is very important that people understand this principle that Prabhupada is Diksha and Siksha Guru for all of us. This is really the essence of the philosophy. And because of that misdirected point in our previous organization that we were participants in, there's so much confusion. This is the way it is. As simple as it is, Prabhu, I would say birds of the same feather flock together. Prabhupada gives that example. Birds of the same feather. In other words, if you want to be cheated, then you can easily be cheated by so many different people. But if you're looking for an honest representation of Prabhupada's teachings, you have to associate with people, devotees, disciples of Srila Prabhupada, that have one position, which is that Prabhupada is the Sishya Guru for us all. And in that way, by carefully adhering to his words, we won't become confused like the confusion that is going on in the material world on many levels. Yasoda, please. Maybe you could comment on that.
I just want to make a comment here. Prabhupada wrote a letter in the middle 70s about a great crack, that he was very concerned about a great crack in his society. And he made a point that after the manifested presence of His Divine Grace, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, his guru, that after his disappearance, many of his leading disciples, they started to interpret his words for purposes of sense gratification. And what happened is the mission was disrupted. The mission was defeated. And Prabhupada mentioned, I'm always afraid of this great crack, how different disciples interpreted his words for sense gratification. And we see the same phenomena that took place in our movement with various individuals, various leaders, who interpreted many of Srila Prabhupada's instructions in a convenient way for their personal ambition. And when advice was given to them, or attempt was made to have discussions with them, then there was all kinds of retaliations, accusations, character assassination. This is not the characteristic of somebody who is sincere for spiritual advancement. In other words, as devotees, one of the points that we have, it says in the Bhagavad-gītā, Tesham satara yuktanam bhajatam pritipurvakam, dadhami buddhi yogam tam yenamam upayantite. That Krishna will give the intelligence by which a devotee can come to him. But if somebody is also motivated for name and fame and power and prestige and profit, adoration, distinction, there's so many different lures of Maya, Krishna can also give that. That is also cheap. But if somebody is very serious about spiritual advancement, he will not get trapped with these things. He will know the danger of these things. Recently, one devotee asked me, well, do the devotees have insurance policies? Just like if you have a car, in order to get on the road legally, you have to buy an insurance policy. If you own a home, usually you'll have to get an insurance policy against fire, against disasters. So what is a devotee's insurance policy? In Bhagavad-gītā, Krishna describes Ananyas Chintayanto Mam Ye Janaha Paryupashate Tesham Nityabhyuktanam Yogakshemam Vivahamyaham. To those who are devoted to me, I carry what they lack and preserve what they have. In other words, Krishna will protect. We see in the Bhagavad-gītā in chapter 18, Krishna says, surrender unto me. And there's two Sanskrit words, masuchaha, do not worry. This is God's prerogative. This is God's special protection for the pious and the devotees, the serious devotees. They don't have to worry. Krishna will protect. God will protect.
I think we've lost the signal from Yaśodā, Prabhu.
Electricity went off.
Okay, fine. I wanted to further elaborate on that question, Shama Sundar. I thought it was a well framed question. Thank you very much for it, by the way. In this particular situation, we have, I received a letter from Prabhupada in regards to Ban Maharaj. Now, Ban Maharaj came to Toronto and to speak at the University of Toronto under the invitation of a Professor Joseph O'Connell, who was a professor of Vaishnava studies. And so I believe it was in 1974. And Prabhupada, we didn't get in touch with Prabhupada in terms of his arrival. What happened was I went with a colleague of mine, a godbrother. We went to Joseph O'Connell's house. So he wasn't invited to stay at the temple. But in innocence, we invited him to speak at the Sunday feast. And when he came to the Sunday feast, he started to manifest symptoms of prema bhakti in front of the audience, like tears coming down from his eyes, and in front of Radha Gopinath. And I can remember all of us, the brahmacharis, actually, we all got up and left the room, because at least we were smart enough to figure out that this was a sahaja tendency that he was demonstrating in front of us. Like, as you know, Prabhu, Prabhupada never, exhibited these ecstatic symptoms of love of God publicly. And it's quite against the principles of our Vaishnava tradition. So Prabhupada sent me a letter later. Actually, we got a phone call, and then Prabhupada asked us all these questions. Was he, it was through Satsrup, made the phone call. He asked, was he wearing tilak? No. Was he carrying a danda? Now, these were questions he was asking us. We told him, no danda, no tilak, no neck beads, no sika. Instead of the tuft of hair, he had his head fully shaved. So obviously what Prabhupada was doing was, he was trying to get an assessment of where his godbrother was at, so that he could give us direction. And so when he heard all of this, he sent a letter to me and said, specifically, I'm going to paraphrase it. He said, I do not want that any of you, all of my disciples, associate with Ban Maharaj or my godbrothers. Do not associate with my godbrothers. Now, Shama Sundar, does that sound confusing when Prabhupada writes that in a letter? Does it sound confusing to you? I'm speaking to Bhagavat. This is a friend of mine, or was. I blocked him on Facebook now. I don't want to have anything to do with this fellow. I talked to him, and then he's got involved with the Gaudiya Math, which is also a big issue. Now, there's a question of intelligence here. Prabhupada's telling me and all of us, specifically in black and white, do not associate with my godbrothers. None of you. I want you to associate with. And what is, Shambhasundar, what do you think Bhagavat said? Can you take a guess?
Honestly, I don't know. No, honestly, I don't know. Sorry.
Okay, I'll give you what he says. Oh, that order was just specifically for you. Okay, now, excuse me. Prabhupada's saying specifically in black and white, I don't want any of my disciples to associate with my godbrothers. And yet he's reinterpreting it to mean it's just specifically for you. Where's your intelligence, brother? Like Bhagavat, where is your intelligence? Prabhupada's saying one thing, you're telling me another thing. I have the same situation with a fellow in Malaysia, Bhaktidas, who's was a Prabhupada disciple. Now, he went ahead, he even built a temple for the Gaudiya Math, some Gaudiya Math sannyasi. So when I brought it up to him, this quote, which, by the way, Prabhu, it's not just a quote to me. There are many letters that where Prabhupada is trying to tell us specifically his disciples. There's a big difference between him telling everybody else or telling his, because the relationship with the disciple and guru is a very personal one. Your relationship with Prabhupada is very personal. And mine is personal. Now, Prabhupada's speaking to us specifically. He's saying, you listen to me only. I had a chance to recently look at a book written by Sridhar Swami. I got a group of books given to me, and I specifically only read Prabhupada's books. Prabhupada said that too, but somehow or other people interpret it and say, well, you can read the Krishna Sandarbha and this Upanishad and this Shastra. It's okay. Prabhupada wanted us to learn all these philosophies. Excuse me, there's a specific instruction there. Prabhupada says specifically, read for his disciples. He's provided all the information that we need to know in his purports. He summarized them. Yaśodā discussed it in a previous class, how Prabhupada used this really fat scripture, these books. He was very, very carefully presenting our philosophy specifically for his disciples, and it would be enough for us to simply read his books and get the highest understanding of Krishna conscious philosophy that a guru could convey to his disciple. Yet people are told, they're told, oh, don't read other books, and they read them. Now, where is their intelligence? Well, for me, it tells me you're not intelligent. You can't listen. You don't listen to what Prabhupada's saying. Like Prabhupada would complain about the GBC and past days and temple presidents. He would tell them, he'd say, the problem is you're not reading my books. They weren't chanting their rounds, weren't following the 4 regulated principles. They're carrying on in the back room in a closet doing some kind of nonsense. And they're not studying the books carefully. They're not listening. So how is it that people have this, what is it called, selective hearing? Oh yeah, I want to listen to this, but I think I'm only going to interpret it this way or that way for my personal motive. This is Sahajiism. That's all it is. You want to be an imposter like Ban Maharaj? You want to fake, transcendental symptoms of like Lord Chaitanya while you're chanting Hare Krishna in the Sankirtan procession? You want to do that? Go away from us. That's all. We're not going to achieve much with these people because they have selective hearing. They only want to hear what they think is in their best interests, not in the interest of the relationship between the disciple and the pure devotee. And that's why we promote that Prabhupada is our Siksha and Diksha Guru. He's not only, and then people will carry on like this, Shama Sundar, just so you know. And this, even today, I've had a discussion with people on Facebook, I'm in that medium, where they're going, I don't believe in the Ritvik process they go. So I'm asking them, do you know what the Ritvik system is? And the answer is no, they don't even understand that. Where you're acting as a representative of the spiritual master to help other people become disciples of A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Where is the fault in that? When Prabhupada lives in sound. Tell me what I asked the person who used to be in Toronto, incidentally, it was interesting. In '86, I asked him, I said, where is the fault in this? Tell me. Is it because you think you have to have a living guru? The guru lives in sound, doesn't in physical body. That is not really what this is about. This is a transcendental scientific process. where we're receiving knowledge through the ears, not through the eyes. You're looking, oh, look at him. Look at, he's got a dhoti on and a kurta and sandalwood pulp on his face. How beautiful he is. No, it's through the ears. So a lot of people have selective hearing. They don't want to hear, they only want to hear what they think is right for whatever reason. And they're not listening to the pure devotee and his instructions. So it's very important for all of us to, like one thing I love about Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu, he's a storehouse of information on what Prabhupada said, what he's trying to tell us as disciples. And there's a absolute ocean of information available, enough for our lifetime. It's not like, and I've got these books that I was blessed with years ago, the Conversations of Prabhupada. I think it's 37 volumes, in addition to the Bhagavatams, the Chaitanya Charitamrita, the Bhagavad-gītā, the Nectar of Devotion, and of some of the other books that Prabhupada, Sri Upanishad, like that. There's Easy Journey to Other Planets. There's so many books that we have that are available to us. If you just spend your time studying those, that'll be enough in this lifetime to take you back to Godhead and not become a speculator. Like I said earlier, and I'll finish up, I apologize to everybody. Birds of the same feather flock together. That's what this is about. If you want to go, I tell people regularly, if you don't like what we're saying in the Prabhupada Disciples Association, go hang out with Radhanath Swami. If that's what turns you on, go do it. Go associate with Shivaram. This recent situation that came up with Bhaktivedanta and this, I made Bhakti Steve Shivaram a devotee. I was the Sankirtan leader in Montreal when Shivaram joined the mission. So I was the first person to train him up as a brahmachari. And someone was confronting me today online as well. Well, who do you think you are? You haven't done anything to like Shivaram has. When you read Shivaram's letters, he put out 2 large letters, Ram Raghava, in regards to this issue in their society of child molestation. Completely confused. And I said to this fellow, I said, listen, if you really want to know, I am his Vartma Pradarshika guru. I introduced him to Prabhupada. We taught him how to study Prabhupada's books, and we taught him how to accept that Prabhupada was his guru, and he got initiated through our service. We're helping out our spiritual master. Yet, here, after 45 years, all this denial and confusion and jibber jabber in his 2 letters, which are just absolutely revealing to anybody with half a brain that this type of deviation is something that's going on. And we just try to somehow or other, follow the straight and narrow path back to Godhead at the lotus feet of our spiritual master. I hope that gives you some insight, brother. Hare Bol.
Yeah, thanks very much, Prabhu. I was just in finishing on my side. So I don't remember the verse, but Krishna says that he makes the person's faith strong. So whatever you want to believe, Krishna will fortify that faith so you believe that that's true, even though it's not. It seems that Krishna gives you that faith. So it must be the case that all these different opinions, Krishna's just allowing them to believe that it's true what they think. He's giving them that strong faith. But meanwhile, it's not true. It's fascinating. Thanks.
Very fascinating.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna. Earlier, Madhukanta Prabhu had his hand raised. I just wanted to ask if Madhukanta Prabhu had a question.
No, no problem. That's all right. Thank you.
Okay, then Bhakta Ulysses has his hand raised. Just to let everybody know, we're down to about 5 minutes now.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, Hare Krishna. Please accept my humble obeisances. Thank you, Viśvakarmā Prabhu, for your talk. I do find that I have some disagreements in some of the points you've made, but I don't want to be duplicitous, like artificially be part of this group and have some disagreement.
Prabhu, what is your experience in Krishna consciousness? Like, what preaching work have you done in your life? I'm just asking a question.
Not much. I run a YouTube channel and local, small scale.
Like I meant, how many thousands of hours have you done Sankirtan on the streets? Let me ask you questions.
I don't know, not many. I haven't counted, but not thousands.
Okay. You know, I'm not trying to qualify myself as an authority for you, that's for sure. So you don't agree with what I say. I respect that, but at the same time, you should understand that not everybody has the same experience as you. And because of a person's activities, you know, whether it's distributing 1 million plates of prasadam or millions of books, or distributing millions of Krishna consciousness and the holy name to millions of people in say, my country, Canada, it gives us some experience on what Krishna consciousness is, the philosophy, as well as association with our spiritual master. You don't know this, but Prabhupada personally gave me his kurta after we bought the largest building in North America for him. Okay, he came to Toronto and blessed us with that gift. So, you know, the disagreements, you should just try to listen to what I'm saying. That's all. And if you find there's some kind of problem with it, you can send us some emails privately. We can try to discuss them and satisfy. If there isn't a compatibility, like I said, then you can go with whoever you feel is comfortable and that you can get the right answers for your own path back to Godhead.
Yes, I find that this group is very enlivening. So I wouldn't want to leave because some minor disagreement. On the contrary, I think some disagreement is actually healthy because it sparks debate. But if you're very strict about that, then I don't want to appear as a duplicitous person or something like that.
It's not duplicit. You're not being, if you've got confusion, that's not a fault. We're all confused. But if you get a fair answer, then you have to, if you have more questions, you can just ask them. So like that, we can, and unless we have more time, which I think we've reached the end of our time. Ram Raghava, I'm just going to wrap up today by saying that today's class was streamed, live streamed by Vinkat Prabhu, and we're excited for him. He has expanded his technology facility with a new MacBook, so we're celebrating that. And that's going to, he's got a MacBook Pro, a new one, and he'll be able to, as our technology guru, he is going to be able to facilitate us expanding our preaching work online, moving forward. And very soon we'll be launching Prabhupada TV, which is a major preaching platform that we are creating. And we also invite everybody, Ram Raghava, if you have any programs that you want to do or anything you'd like to speak on, or Sham Sundar or anyone in the group wants to be a participant in this, please get a hold of us. Ulysses as well, if you've got something you want to present, we can review it as part of our programming to the world. So this is something that we're moving forward with, and in our efforts to please our spiritual master. So also, I just wanted to remind everybody, tomorrow at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, there's Srimad Bhagavatam class, and also very enlivening. So, we don't want to discourage anybody from coming. We just want you to, be like you said, Ulysses, a healthy participant in the discussions. And also next Wednesday, there'll be Chaitanya Charitamrita class. So we're going to move forward, streaming these classes, and they're also on our YouTube channel, Prabhupada TV, and soon to be part of our programming in the Prabhupada TV station. So Madhu Pandit or Rama Raghava, if you could play the kirtan, we'll wrap up the class. And thank you, everybody, for being a part of the voluntary part of this Sankirtan mission of the Prabhupada Disciples Association. Hari Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama.
Vanchakalpa Tarubhyascha, Kripa Sindhu Bhayevacha, Patitanam Pavenibhyo, Vaishnavebhyo, Namo Namaha. Glories to Srila Prabhupada, everyone.
Always. Haribol. Thank you so much, Prabhu. Hare
Thank you.
Krishna.
Prabhu.
Haribol.